expenditures for 2019-20.
Yes, ma'am. Before you, on your table, you have these Excel spreadsheets. I wanna just direct your attention to the column on the left, which is all in white. That is, various items that have been requested during our budget, during our review of the budget, and we have various items in here that we put in that we have, that we're hoping that we'll be able to budget utilizing the reimbursement funding that we're getting through the county. On the right, what I did, because that's what it looks like they're doing, is they're giving, or I divided it into 20% increments, because it seems that they're not just paying it out like 100%. We have already submitted several, I mean, it's well over 50%, well over that, 60. And we still have not received anything from them except the first 20% that they had first submitted. The county, again, we did have that item on our last meeting where it's gonna authorize the county to release another 20. We should actually be getting that very soon. Either through the mail or they're gonna call us. I've heard that they're doing both. But then that would basically mean that we would have another 453,000 that we would be able to utilize. But for now, the reason I'm bringing this item before you is to concentrate on the first 20%. And in the top green column, we have various items that we've discussed before, and I wanted to bring them in front of you to see if we're all in agreement in regards to what you would like to purchase, or do we want to hold off on a certain thing. But basically, I put in the numbers to where, enough items to where it's gonna be okay to utilize the first 20% and still have a small remainder after we utilize all that. So within this column, we have the one-time employee pay. This is utilizing the higher of the two proposed of $1,200 per employee. We have the grappler truck, which we're already.
Bobby, I did not agree with the $1,200. I'm just making
but,
notes.
but
Okay.
I just utilized the higher number to come up
Okay.
with this number.
Okay.
They use grappler.
I'm just curious, why, Mayor? Why?
I just feel that, the employees should get like 900 and the supervisors should get an additional 400, 500, because they're the ones that oversee, the city. Like Bobby oversees the city, Melissa oversees the, her, grants. Yvette oversees, the expenditures of our, and finance of our city. So I think that, how can you give them, that's my opinion.
Well, you gotta think about, all these city employees are going out there and,
I
they're in the front
understand
lines
that.
as well,
I
That's
understand
why
that.
we say city employees,
I
everybody,
understand that, I understand that.
everybody's here, can I talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Everyone is here is a city employee. I think everybody should be treated the same and, equally. Yes, some others have, different, responsibilities and accountabilities, but that shouldn't defeat these, employees not getting the same amount. I think we're in one city and, they all should be treated the same.
Okay, Bobby.
Okay, so in here, we also have the grappler truck that we're actually gonna be purchasing, complete the purchase today, I hope. And we'll actually be bringing that in and get it to work immediately. There's also a mini excavator that was proposed, some desks and chairs for the municipal court, computers for the library, a shredder with cab for public works, an F-550 to replace B1 for the fire department. And all these items together total $448,240, which is still under the 20% that's been allocated or given to us. Of course, if we're still lacking on a little bit, because from what I understand from finance, is that because of the mortgage and the business assistance that we were allocating, well, we were dipping into our own funds from the budget. So we actually used some of this, of the 20%, but when I get the other 20, like that should make up for it because it's paying back our mortgage and rental assistance that we've already utilized.
Okay.
So just trying to keep it all straight here. The only items that we're looking at or I'm wanting to approve or utilize right now is the top green box. The other items are things that we can look at a later date. But I would like to be a little cautious because we don't have the money in hand. I don't wanna leave it to the county to say, you know what, we're not gonna fund you for this money that you requested and not get the full amount. So I'm hoping that we do, of course, and we're able to fund these various items. But for now, at least, what we've been in discussions with, it was the items in the green box that I would like to.
Oh, but on that remaining 5,700, can you buy some of this stuff, like the library? Can we use that money right now?
Yes, we can.
So it'll leave, you know, when we get the other 20%.
Yeah, so in the second box, if you
Yeah.
look at that, I added the other 20% and the remainder from the first 20%.
Yeah.
And that's added together for a total amount of 459,656. And then as you add all those items in there, which are some vehicles, 1% for the GLO grant, Crockett repaving the small overage that we have, riding lawnmower, chairs for library, computer desk, then that leaves a remaining balance of 141. And then so on, I grab that remainder. So for now, really all I'm looking at is these items, unless you feel that, you know, we should wait on a particular item, it's not really needed at this time, you know, we can also just cancel it out or move it to a later phase to see if we have more money for that. But for sure, I wanted to try and get approval on this one today, only because we normally, the one time, we normally issue that out in October.
So Bobby, I was looking at the Crockett repaving. When do you see that project starting?
According to the Alamo County Drainage District, we're looking at November, December of this year. So that they'll remove the existing bridge that's on Crockett, remove it and replace it with concrete boxes. And that'll serve as our bridge. From there on, Alamo County Precinct 1 will handle all of the labor in regards to the widening. It'll be from a 20 to 22 wide street. It'll be widened to a 36-foot wide street. And we're utilizing Urban County funding to pay for the materials only. And the county is gonna be utilizing all of the labor. They'll be doing all the labor. So the reasoning for the 60,000 is because there is some construction materials testing that we're needing, and possible just overage in regards to material that's needed. It doesn't mean we're gonna utilize all 60, it just means that Urban County may ask us for a check to give to them for them to hold until the project's completed. Once it's done, they'll give us back the refund, whatever is left over.
That would be a very good Christmas gift for the people that live in that area.
Yeah, I know.
And how long is that gonna take?
From my talks with Precinct 1, they really made it sound like it wasn't a very long project, possibly like a couple months. It didn't sound like it was gonna be a lot. But I don't wanna give you a time frame because I don't want it to be.
They were supposed to start back in May.
They were actually supposed to start in March.
Yeah, March.
Yeah, but the pandemic hit and then you got the flooding in June. And so, like I said, everything's been delayed. That's the goal. I'm hoping that's gonna be November, December for the start.
Joseph? Your street's gonna be paved.
Thank you.
And I think,
And Mr. Briones, your street's gonna be paved.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I think one of the things we need to look at is, you know, it's probably installing a traffic light signal at Crockett and Tower. Because it's gonna be hectic.
Are you thinking
Either that or
it's
a
controlled
three-way stop.
Or that, or they're gonna request speed bumps.
Well, and I think you're right. I know that when there is actual school traffic or people going to school, out on Tower and Crockett, there is a lot of, I guess you could say a logjam of.
yeah, they're gonna be coming to Palmview Lane, no?
Yeah.
Yes,
They
yeah.
would have to go to Palmview, to get on Crockett, to get to Salinas.
So I do see where there may be a need for that. I think on that, I would have to check if there would have to be a traffic study done but we know that it's gonna happen your Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock, and then again at
And
like
in the
4.
afternoon, yeah.
So, it
Yeah,
is something to
it's a good
consider.
idea.
It's something to consider either, I don't know about the 3-way stop, but at least some sort of a.
Traffic signal.
Yeah, but again, I have to look and see if it warrants, because normally for traffic signals, you need to see if they warranted by the amount of traffic that they have and the speed before that they go.
Since it's a county and city, do we need permission from the county? No?
No, because this is, that
That's basic.
intersection's all.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically something that if we install it, the city's gonna be responsible for maintaining it.
That's exactly.
And
There's also a stop sign on, right, like one street before that.
Yeah,
Yes, on Bowie, I think.
Moving from.
Bowie, on Bowie and Tower. I mean, what we could do is relocate it to there, but, I don't know. It's something that we'll have to look at, and I don't know if our city engineer has traffic experience in regards to that type of thing, or if it's something that maybe we can ask for assistance from TechStop, just to see, like, if they could run some numbers for us, or even the LRGVDC, MPO people can help us.
that'd be good.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything?
So, again, this is for, as an action item,
Okay.
and what we're looking for is the approval of the use of the first 20% to utilize for the 110 paved wrapper truck, excavator, dustbin chairs, computers, library, shredder cab, and the F-550. Again, these numbers are budgeted, not necessarily what is gonna be spent on it, but at least it's a round number that we can work with, and we can try and go down. I hope it doesn't go up, so we're gonna try and keep it under budget if possible.
Motion to
Could we move the chairs and the computer desk for parks? Yeah, 3,000, move it up to the green box.
Yes, I just see it. Yes, we can.
I mean, it's a suggestion, cause we do have 5,700, then we get rid of 3,000.
Yeah, we can do that, if it's a wishes of the commission.
But like, the 204, how do you figure that if we get 1,200, it doesn't run out to like about 175,000?
Because, we included taxes.
So you include the tax, that takes it to the 204. So do we need a?
There's a motion right now, so there would have to be, if you're gonna consider the amendment that was suggested by Commissioner Delgado, then you would, obviously, since you made the motion, you would, ask to go ahead and make that amendment.
Okay.
Commissioner Morales made the motion.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the amendment of moving tables and chairs.
Second.
Been moved to second, do we present it for say aye?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, and item C, we're going to wait if they already did the,
Let me go see where they're at on the
okay,
calculation.
the calculations for the engineer.
I guess just to open this up, this is part of the request for proposals, request for qualifications that we did, in regards to the CDBG, MIT, projects that we're looking to do through the GLO.
Yeah.
We have Mr. Briones, I asked him to be here. Let me go and check the scoring, and I don't know, Mr. Briones, if you wanna kind of give a little bit of, I guess what the next phases will be once we do the selection, cause I do know that there's a time crunch here, and the reason why I had to have a special meeting and do all this stuff, so.
Sure, a big man.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Mayor, Commissioners, good morning again.
Good morning.
Let me give you a real quick update on where things stand. On October the 5th, that's the date scheduled for the public hearing. The public hearing, basically, it's a mandatory session to satisfy the federal regulations. At this public hearing, we, meaning the city, would have to present the scope of work, meaning what is it that how much funds are gonna be requested and for what activity. The discussions I've had with Mr. Salinas is basically this, so I can give you a glimpse of where we're heading with the projects. We know that there's areas of flooding, okay, here, especially along between the expressway, and business. We know that there's streets that don't have curb and gutter, and primarily the old town side. We know that there's a number of housing that need repair. So what we've been discussing with no specific dollar amount earmarked is looking at the prospects and I think prospects, because you're the ones that are gonna be making the final decision on the budget. We've been looking at areas like Bowie, Austin, those streets in the old town side, between Tower Road and 13th Street for repaving, okay? That's one possible project. And of course, we're looking at the drainage of that area. We've been looking at how do we approach, considering that Alamo Road is, I guess, regulated, for lack of a better term, by TxDOT. Then we will need to look at maybe the side streets, the Tensco, Duranta, and see how do we address the grading of those streets to allow for the flooding that occurs to be addressed. Then another piece would be to be looking at using a portion of the funds allowed under GLO to leverage. When I say leverage, is to apply grant funds towards your debt that was accumulated through the Water Development Board, I believe, for the sewer treatment plant. The amount that we've discussed is to reduce your indebtedness or application to the Water Development Board by at least 1.5, maybe 2 million out of the GLO funds. So that's basically the structure that we've been following in designing a budget. Of course, you're the ones that are going to be making the final decision as far as the specific streets and the dollar amounts. We're hoping that after the public hearing on October the 5th, then the whole package will be brought up to the next city council meeting with a resolution to have you consider approval. Between now and then, you'll have, of course, the actual narratives on the scope of work. And I'm hoping that if you, your time allows, be able to review those areas of activities and provide us some guidance on how we can incorporate your recommendations into the scheme of the work plan, so that we can be able to have a full understanding of the project and have the city council's blessing on the projects. So once that's the deadline for submitting the application is October 28th. I've already started online to incorporate some of the information, like the city profile, like the low and moderate population, so on and so forth. So I've already started establishing the account on behalf of the city online. So of course, the target would be to have everything done by October 28th. That's the target. Prior to that, I believe the city council is supposed to meet on October the 14th, I believe. So at any rate, that's when we're hoping that's when you will be considering the resolution to submit. And then after that is done, we just sit and wait. According to the information that GLO has provided potential applicants, the target date for awarding funds will be April 20th of 2021. So that's GLO is reserving between October 28th and April to evaluate the proposals, look at their overall budget for the entire state, and then award the amounts that are appropriate. So with that, let me just see if any of you have any questions and try and answer them.
Mr. Briones, okay, now that you submitted, you're gonna submit everything by October 28th. When do you do the process for the 2018 funding?
That's a good point. Let me, it's a decision that the city council will have to decide on. The amount of money available for the 2018 and the 2019 funding cycles is only 1 million. Now, that 1 million could be used either for debt retirement with the Water Development Board, the quote unquote leveraging of funds, or it could be used for housing, or it could be used for drainage, or it could be used for street improvement. It's really up to the city council to set a priority of how to use that 1 million. But we got, my intention is that immediately, once the 2018 cycle or requirements have been met in terms of submitting the proposals, then I immediately start working on the 2018 cycle, as well as the 2019. For that, that's where I'll be turning to the city council and of course, Mr. Salinas for guidance on how you wanna structure that million.
Is that the amount that's going to be given to the rest of the money available out there, like 2019?
So that's what the state plan, see, the way this works is, the state, the Texas General Land Office submits a plan to HUD. HUD reviews that plan, and that plan outlines the dollar amount that will be awarded to sub-recipients, in this case, like the city. In the 2015 state plan, which is what we're gonna be going after, or going for funding, the minimum that the HUD approved was 3 million and a high of 10 million. That's what the state plan indicates. However, for the state plans for the 2018 and 19, they only made an allowance of 1 million. Regardless of how much money is coming into the state, they only made an allowance of 1 million. So we're locked into just applying for 1 million. But that doesn't say that we cannot apply for other mitigation funds that are coming through EDA, USDA, FEMA, the Texas Department of Emergency Management. There's other outlets, other resources that are available to the city that we can apply for.
That's good. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Briones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, I'm at your disposal anytime you have any questions or concerns or anything about where we're going with this kind of project, just don't hesitate to call.
We know where you live.
I know.
That sounds scary.
Can you check on Bobby? Thank you.
Take advantage of this moment. If you have a better understanding of the needs of the city than myself, okay? So my question to you is to be thinking about what is it that you would want to address as your priority? What is these streets, drainage, water systems? What would be your personal priority? And as you think along this process of identifying the issues or hotspots, if you will, identify maybe what would be geographically in the city, what is it that you would like to see happen? Whether it be involving Medico Chiquito or involving any of the RV parks. What is it that you would want to see happen? And the reason I bring this up is because this is a tremendous opportunity, and this is a point I make to other city councils. To prepare a wish list. Think about a wish list. What is it that you would want to see for the city? And the reason I say wish list is because there's a tremendous amount of resources out there, financial resources, that the city is eligible for. So as things move along, the city may be able to take advantage of those funds. And this way, you already have an idea of how funds could be applied for and used for. For instance, in January, just to give you an example, January 20th, I believe, is the deadline for the Texas Department of Emergency Management to accept proposals for infrastructure projects. When I say infrastructure, we're talking about sewer and water projects, drainage. So those are some considerations. According to my understanding, the government has allocated $500 million to FEMA. Out of those 500 million, a portion of that is gonna come to the state, to Texas, and awarded through the Texas Department of Emergency Management. So this is a cycle that will be opening up in January. So be thinking, that's what I'm thinking, we're asking, to be thinking about what kind of projects you would like to undertake.
Mr. Leones, would they also help with clay lines?
With the third,
Clay lines?
late night, yes,
Clay.
the replacement of the lines,
Yep.
yes.
Oh, okay, great, thank you, sir. Okay, you got it,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, item C, consideration action on the selection of engineer for CDBG and IT projects.
So we went through the different scoring sheets, and we calculated everything based on experience, work performance, capacity to perform, and proposed cost. We came up with, the ranking, 1 through 5, we have as number 1, we have TriMet, number 2, Cruz Hogan, number 3, Singer Winston Greenwood, number 4, Hanson, and number 5, Fulton. Those are the rankings.
So number 1 is what?
Number 1 is TriMet.
Make a motion to approve, percent, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Citizen participation, 5 minutes per person with no response from the city commission, residents may sign up for the city meeting.